What's going on, guys? It's your girl Hatter and welcome to my crochet corner. If you're new here, hi. Um this is a thing I do now. I'm actually starting my own crochet business soon. I plan to launch sometime in November. So that's fun. So today I'm going to show you guys how I do my crochet coasters. Right now I have a ball of yarn that I wound myself using a yarn winder. I don't know the exact yarn brand right now, but I can link that in the description. And I also have a 5mm crochet hook, if my camera will focus. Hello. You do. Anyways, it's a 5mm crochet hook. And I also have some cute little scissors I found at Hobby Lobby. And then I also have a little tapestry needle for weaving in the ends when we're finished. And so what you need to know to do this is a slip stitch, a chain stitch, and a double crochet. I will walk you guys through those. Oh, also in a slip knot. You need to know how to do a slip knot. But if you don't know how to do those, I will walk you through that. So to do a slip knot, you want to go take your yarn and you want to use your pointer finger and your middle finger. And I kind of grab it with like my ring and my pinky. And so you want to take it and it's like at an angle and you want to wrap it around your two fingers once, and then you kind of want to take it and cross it underneath. So you're going to do like a little bit of an X right here and then wrap it again. So I have my little cross piece right here and I have it wrapped around twice, and then you want to take you want to go under the one closer to the edge of your fingers. You want to go under that and over the second one, and you want to pull it through. That's what creates your slip knot, and then you can like pull it tight to get it closer to the hook, and that's how you do your slip knot. And so for granny squares, some people do a magic ring and some people do the chain 4 method. I only do magic ring if I'm doing circular coasters, like circular things using the granny square stitch, or circular anything using double crochet. But for right now, we're going to do the chain 4. So you yarn over and pull through the slip knot that you made on your hook, and that's your first chain. And then you're going to do that again. That's your second chain. And then your third chain and your fourth chain, right? So right now I have 4 chains on my hook, and you're gonna want to go back to the first chain that you made and do what's called a slip stitch. So to do a slip stitch, you're going to find that fourth one, which is the first one that you made. Some people just go through the top loop right here. So when you make a chain, you have 2 loops. You have your top loop here and your bottom loop here. It's kind of hard to see at that angle, but like, yeah, you have your top loop and your bottom loop. And so I'm gonna go through to the bottom loop right here in this hole. And so I'm gonna take my hook and I'm gonna try and find that hole. I'm gonna push through right here. And so this creates a little like kind of U shape on your hook. And so you yarn over, and instead of doing a single crochet where you like yarn over and pull through and then yarn over again, you're gonna yarn and pull through both loops. So you're gonna pull through that chain and the loop you had on your hook. And this creates our little foundation for granny square. This creates a circle in the middle here, and this is the circle that we're gonna work into. So that's how we start our granny square. And then to keep going, you're going to chain 3. And then this will count as your first double crochet, this chain 3 right here. And you don't want to make it too tight. You don't want to make the circle too tight because you still want to be able to put your stitches through it. So I'm kind of trying to loosen it up right now, and we'll pull it tighter with this piece later. So you're going to yarn over, go through the circle right here, and then yarn over again where you have 3 loops on your hook, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops on your hook right here, right? And then you're going to yarn over and pull through the next 2 loops. That's your first double crochet. That's how you do a double crochet stitch. And so you're going to do groups of 3 double crochet to make the granny square stitch. And so we're going to do 1 more double crochet. So I yarned over, went through the loop right here, yarn over again. You should have 3 loops on your hook, right? 1, 2, and 3. And then you're going to yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops. So now you should have 2 loops on your hook. And then you're going to yarn over and pull through the second 2 loops. And that's your first little set of 3. Remember, your first chain counts as your double crochet. So this is a group of 3. So this is just one part, right? So now we have to create a corner. And to do that, you're going to chain 2. So remember, every corner that you're making, you're chaining 2. And then you're going to make sure you have enough slack, because you don't want to make your stitches too tight. So I'm going to pull some more yarn out right here. And then after that, we're going to do another set of 3 double crochets. So for those of you still learning how to do a double crochet, I'll walk you through it again. So you're going to yarn over. You're going to go back into this same circle we've been working into. Then yarn over again and pull through. So you have 3 loops on your hook. Then you're going to yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops. And then yarn over and pull through the second 2 loops. So that just made your double crochet. And so we're going to do that 2 more times. Right, and so there's your second set. And now you can see you've made like a little corner right here from that chain 2 that we did, right? So when you're doing granny square, you have 4 points here on your bottom in the middle of the granny square. It's so hard to explain this. I'm so used to just doing it and not like explaining what I'm doing. Okay, so to finish off this round, right, we're gonna create another corner right here. So we're gonna chain 2, so 1 and 2, right? And then we're gonna keep working into this same hole that we've been working in, and we're gonna do another group of 3 double crochets. So that's 1, 2, and 3. So now we have 3 of our 4 groups of double crochets. So we're going to make 1 more corner here. And then we're going to do our last group of 3 in that same hole that we've been working in. And then to finish off, so you can kind of start to see the square forming, right? So you have your 4 groups of 3 double crochets and then the chain 2 for the corners. So to finish this off, we're going to chain 2 more, and this is where your slip stitch comes in. So you have to join this part to get this last corner, like the corners we've made before. And to do that, you got to go back to that chain 3 that you made. It's kind of hard to see the chains with how fuzzy this yarn is. But basically you have 1 chain here, another chain here, and then our 3rd chain is in this tiny little hole up here. It's kind of hard to see, but here, if I pull it out, maybe it'll be easier. So we have another chain right here, and that's where we're going to put our hook. So you're going to put it through the top chain right there, and then instead of yarning over and doing that, we're just going to yarn over and pull through both the chain and the loop on our hook. So that's a slip stitch, and then we just joined our first little base. So we have our base, it's a tiny little square, and you have your 4 groups of 3, and then you have your corners. And so now we're going to take the little tail end of our slip knot that we did at the beginning, and we're going to pull it. And in doing so, it kind of closed the hole. If you want to close it all the way, we'll do that at the end when we're weaving in this tail piece, because the more you pull it, the more it'll close here. But for now, this is fine. That's tight enough for right now. And so we're going to continue going up. So to start the next round, we're going to do our chain 3. And you want to make sure you're not chaining too tight, as you have to do that slip stitch at the end of the round to join it to start the next round. So you don't want to do your slip stitch, not your slip stitch, you don't want to do your chains too tight, because then you won't be able to fit the hook into it to do a slip stitch. And then that'll just cause a whole bunch of other issues you don't want to deal with. So to keep going, what I'm going to do is I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to go into this hole right here that we created when we did our corner. So I'm going to do my 2 double crochets in that hole. Right? So you did your chain, which counts as your first double crochet in the start of the new round. And then I did 2 more double crochets in this hole that we made from our corner. So when we had our base, we had the 4 groups and then the 4 corners. So when I did my next set of 3, I did it in this hole in the corner. And so to keep going around, you're going to chain 1 in between your sets of 3, right? So I just did my 3, I chained 1, and then we're going to do 3 more double crochet, but in this hole, in this next corner. So for doing granny squares, you're never going to go into a stitch. You're always going to go into a hole, so in the gap between the stitches, right? Unless you're joining to start the next round. And so right now, I'm at a corner now. So I have to build my next corner. So in order to do that, I have my group of 3 that I just did. And then I'm going to chain 2. And then I'm going to do another group of 3 in this same hole. So before, we were just going, and I did my chain, and then I kept going, and I did my chain. But to make this corner right here, I need 2 sets of 3 in this same hole. So I'm going to do my second set of 3 in that same corner. And so this, it looks weird right now, but I promise it will look better the more you keep going. But that just created your next corner. So then I'm going to chain 1. And then I'm going to do the same thing that I just did here, but in this corner and in this corner. So to continue, I already chained 1, so I'm going to go into the next hole in the next corner and do a group of 3 double crochets. And if you need me to, if you need to slow the video down to go back to when I first explained how to do a double crochet, that's perfectly fine. But I will have a separate video up specifically on how to do just like stitch work with single, double, and treble crochets, as well as half double crochets and stuff like that, and like how to do a magic circle. Like all those will be separate videos, but for right now, I'm just keeping it general. And so I did my group of 3 in that hole, and I'm going to chain 2 and do another group of 3 in this same hole. Okay, so then I just made my next corner, right? Now notice in making your corners, you're also making another hole on the side that you didn't have before. So when you're doing your chain 1 in between your groups, it's creating another hole for you to do more groups of 3 in the more you go around. So this would be round 2, right? So this was our round 1, and the one we're working on right now is round 2. So I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to go and yarn over and do a set of 3 double crochets in the next corner. I apologize for like the camera frantically moving. I am recording this on my phone because I don't have a GoPro yet, and my laptop camera, my external laptop camera broke a while ago, so I gotta get another one of those. But you know, we're making it work for what it is. I think. So we're gonna chain 2 and do another group of 3 in that same hole. And then once we do that, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to go into the same corner that we started this round with this group, and we're going to do our last set of 3. So instead of doing another 3 chain 2 3 in this hole, just like how we did in these corners, this is technically half of our corner already done. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a group of 3. Sometimes when I'm going too fast, like I accidentally pull the yarn off the hook. You want to make sure you're not doing that. So I'm going to do another set of 3 here. Right? And then I'm going to chain 2 and connect it to this piece here by finding that 3rd stitch at the top right here and doing a slip stitch. So putting the hook through that top chain, putting the hook through that top chain just like that, and then yarning over and pulling through both loops. So that's your slip stitch, and that creates your next round. So to continue going, you just do the same process. So you're gonna have a little bit more space, obviously, to do more because you have more holes now. So to go into the 3rd round, we're gonna do the same process. So we're gonna chain 3, and then we're gonna do our set of 2 to start off because your chain counts as your first double crochet there. So that's our first group in that hole. And then we're going to chain 1, and instead of going into this corner piece, we're going to go into the next gap right here. So we're going to do a set of 3 in that hole. Right? And so then we're chaining 1, and then once we reach a corner, we have to do the 3 2 3 method. So 3 double crochets, then a chain 2, and then another 3 double crochets. Right, and then so I did that. I made my corner. Then we're going to chain 1. We're going to do the same thing where we're going to go into this hole right here, into this gap, and we're going to do another set of double crochets. So we're going to do another set of 3 in this hole. Right, and then we're going to do our chain 1 and go into this hole right here, into the corner, and do our corner. So 3 double crochets, chain 2, and then another set of 3. And then we're going to do the same thing. So chain 1, go into that hole right there, do another set of 3. Then you chain 1, and then you move to the next corner. right? And then you chain 1, and you're almost done with this round. So you're going to go into that next hole and do your set of 3. Oh, my yarn got a little tangled there. And then it comes back to the start of the round, right? And we're going to do the same thing that we did for the last round, where after our chain 1, we're going to do our set of 3 in this hole. So that's 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to do 2 chains to finish off, and then we're going to find that 3rd chain, which is right here, and we're going to slip stitch. And so this is what it looks like so far, right? So we have 3 rounds. So our first round, our second round, and the one we just finished was our 3rd round. Most people, when they do granny squares, they have 5. So I'm going to leave you guys to keep going. If you want to stop here, I'll have the timestamp on the screen of where to skip to for finishing it off and weaving in the ends if you wanted to stop here. But I'm going to go and do the next 2 rounds doing the same method that we just did for the first 3. And then I'm going to come back when I'm done. Okay, so I just finished my... Did I? Wait a minute. I lied. Hold on, I gotta take this apart and fix this corner. I was like, why does that look weird? That's because it's not a real corner. Wait a minute. I guess I was going so fast I wasn't paying attention. This also happens, and it's okay to make mistakes. Everybody does it. And this is actually the perfect time for me to have made that mistake. I'm glad that I caught that before I went to like weave in my ends and all that, and then would have been like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. Okay, yeah, I have a chain too. Okay, I just didn't do my second group of doubles right here before going to the next space. It's like, why does that look weird? That's because I goofed. But now I am done with my granny square. I'm just gonna pull up a loop so that I don't accidentally unravel that. So this is what it should look like from what you have. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. This is like your base level granny square. And yeah, so to close it off, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna stick my hook back in here. And I'm going, some people just like cut it off and pull the loop out, but I'm gonna chain 1 here. And then I'm going to cut a decent amount, probably no more than about like this much. You just want to have enough left over to weave in so it doesn't unravel, like if you wash it or something. So I'm gonna cut it right about here, and then I'm just gonna pull it through. So I have it, and I'm gonna pull it pretty tight, and then fix this so you can actually see the corner here. Right, and so that's your square. And then if you flip it over, you just have to weave in this part and then this part that we just left off, this tail right here. And the way I weave it in is I follow this directional for this, and then I just go in a circle for this. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start in the middle, and let me see if I can get a better zoomed in part of what I'm doing here. So I start in the middle from where we had our slip knot tail from when we started. I'm gonna take my darning needle, and what I like to do is I like to fold this in half, like the yarn. I fold it in half, and then I kind of like twist it so that it's kind of like small and wound, so it's easier to fit in here. So then I go and I thread the needle by wiggling that through, and then I'll like pull it through. For me, I found that's the easiest way for me to thread the darning needle or the tapestry needle. And so I'm just gonna pull it through till it's like that. So just fold it over. You don't have to fold it completely through like that. I just leave a little bit enough to have it folded to pull through. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of find like the way this is going. So you can see like it's coming out this way. So I'm gonna kind of want to take it, I want to pull it as tight as I can to make sure it's fully pulled tight first, and then I'm gonna take the bottom part of these double crochets right here. So this is a loop, this is a loop, and this is a loop, and I'm gonna take the needle and I'm gonna go underneath them. So that's the first loop I'm going under. You gotta kind of like wiggle it through to like find them. That's the second loop I'm going under, and then I'm gonna try and find the bottom wherever it is. Sometimes it's kind of hard to get the needle through. Okay, there. So I'm gonna, this is how I usually do it. I take it and, hold on, let me get it a little bit closer to the camera here. I take it and I go through like that. And so you have the yarn, and then you're just gonna pull the needle through, right? And pull it as tight as you can. So you can see already from the front that this hole is now closed, right? But I want to keep going to make sure that if this unravels or comes out, it's not going to fully unravel the whole granny square. So I'm going to keep going to the next set of 3 and try and find those loops like so, and pull it through and pull it as tight as you possibly can. The tighter you pull it, the less likely it is to unravel. So that's good. But also the tighter you pull it, the harder it is to get to the next like set of 3. So I'm just gonna wiggle that a little bit and try to get underneath there like that, and then kind of pull that closed. And then I'm just gonna keep going around until I feel like I've weaved this in enough to where it's like tight, and I know for a fact it won't like unravel. So I'm just gonna keep doing that for a little bit. Okay. You want to make sure you kind of like pinch the edge, like the yarn that you have here, when you're pulling it through, so you don't accidentally pull the yarn off the tapestry needle, because I've definitely done that a few times in the past, and it's kind of annoying because then you have to rethread midway through trying to weave in your ends. So I'm just gonna do that. Pull it nice and tight, and then I think I'm gonna, let me try to get that last loop there. There we go. Okay, so I think I'm gonna do that, and I think that should be good enough. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it off the needle, and I'm just gonna pull this extremely tight so you can see that it's kind of like bulged up right there from where it was flat. And if you look on the other side, this little space that was here is completely closed, and so I wanted to make sure that was really tight. And so then I'm just gonna take the little excess, mind you I'm really pulling here to make sure. I'm just gonna take that little excess there, I'm gonna grab my scissors and I'm gonna cut it right about there. You just want to be careful that you don't cut the actual stitch, because then that's a whole nother issue. But then you want to flatten it out and kind of like pull on the middle four right there, just to make sure. And that's how you weave in the middle. And so all that we have left is to weave in this little end here that we had from the last slip stitch chain that we did, right? So this is what it's looking like right now. And then we just have this loose end right here. So I'm going to turn it around, and then we're going to do the same needle thread hack that we were doing before. Kind of fold it and twist it, and then we're going to take this and thread it. I like to wiggle it a little bit just to make sure that it's in there, and then you can pull it up and pinch it. And then so what I'm going to do for this, right, so this is from the back side, so you're looking at this, the granny square, from the back, not from the front. And you're gonna take it and you're gonna, what I like to do is I like to loop it through the double crochet next to the chain, through the back loop here, and then wiggle it through the other loop here. And I make sure I fully get that loop, and then take it and loop it through the next double crochet next to it, but through the bottom part. And so you don't want to pull this super tight, but just like tight enough to where like you can see like that corner bunches up. We're gonna fix that in a minute, but just make sure you're not pulling it like super tight. And then we're gonna do the same thing. So on the back of this double crochet there's like a loop here. I'm gonna stick it through that loop, and then we're gonna wiggle it and go through. Actually, let me see. You kind of want to find loops that you can like push it through easily. And then I always finish off by going through the bottom of the stitch. Just like how we were going through the bottom loops, weaving in the middle. I always want to go through a stitch and then go through the bottom. So whatever stitch is like bunched up, which is usually the middle one, usually the middle one of the group of three is the one pushing back the most, which is why it's just easier to stick the tapestry needle through them. But I'm gonna find a loop here, and then find another loop here, right? And then go through the bottom loops of the double crochets, and then pull your needle through. And then I usually go up until the point where I've reached the middle. So I'm gonna go through this group of three here, and then if I have enough yarn left, then I'll maybe go through this, but usually I try to stop once I reach here. I'm gonna find my loop, go through the next loop here, and then go through the bottom of that group of doubles and pull it through like so. And as you can see, the more I'm weaving, I'm pulling this in. That's perfectly okay for right now because we're gonna straighten it out. But I'm gonna go ahead and go through this last set of double crochets, do them down the middle of that loop, and then Oh, hold on, it fell off the hook. Okay, down the middle. And then I'm gonna try and wiggle my way through the bottom of this right here. So this is the center. This is one of the core groups of 3 that we did. And I'm going to then weave it through this next set of 3, just like we did the bottom, right? So I'm gonna weave that, pull it through, and then I'm gonna pull the yarn off the tapestry needle, and we're going to straighten it out. We're gonna pull it out like that. And we're gonna make sure that this corner isn't like super tight. And then that's how you weave in that end. And so if you flip it over, this is what you should be looking at. So you no longer have anything hanging off. All your ends are weaved in, and this is what the final square looks like. Now, if you wanted to take this an extra step, you can do what's called blocking your squares, and that's just doing it so that it holds a square shape. You can see right now this is kind of like rounded and not flat. Like, it's kind of flat, but like it could be flatter. So I actually off camera made another one of these squares, and I'm gonna go block it, and then I'm gonna come back when it's fully blocked to show you the difference between a blocked coaster. Well, in my instance, I'm using these as coasters, but you can use this for anything. A lot of people use them to make blankets or to make clothing or anything really, but I sell these as coasters. Actually, the link to my website will be in the bio below this video. But yeah, so I'm gonna go block a coaster, and then I'm gonna show you what the finished product looks like versus what we have right here. Okay, so it's been a couple hours since the last time I saw you guys, and I allowed the coasters to block, so I have it on a blocking board. I also made a couple more, but this is what the one that we did earlier looks like. You know, the corners are rounded, like, you know, and then this is what a blocked coaster on a blocking board looks like. Now, I have my very first coaster that I tried to block. I actually blocked on my yoga mat before I got this, and I just recommend, like, get a blocking board. Like, you can get a cheap one from like your local craft store, like Joann's or Michael's or Hobby Lobby or something. They have like the foam ones. I got this one off Amazon. I will also link that in the description. But yeah, just get a blocking board. So I'm just gonna gently slide this off, and you can see it holds its shape. The corners are pointed. So this is what a blocked coaster looks like versus a non-blocked coaster. So you can definitely see the difference in the edge. Like, this is a lot more spaced out. The stitches look a lot more even. If I hang that there, it keeps its shape. It doesn't bend or fold or anything like that. This one doesn't want to go up. Okay. So, like, if I hang that up, like, you can see, like, it's rounded, like, the edges are rounded. This one is flat, it's straight, the corners are straight. So that's just the benefit of blocking. So what I did was I took a spray bottle. I got this at the hair store. You can get one at Walmart, at a hair store or something. Just real cheap, like a $2 spray bottle. Put some water in it, sprayed it, and then I put it on this blocking board. And then some people let them air dry. I had mine in front of a fan. So yeah, but like I still let them sit for a few hours, even though if you put it in front of a fan or something, it will dry faster. I just kept mine, and this is why I usually pull these off when it's flat, because the pegs just fell out, but that's okay. I could just put them back in. But yeah, so I'm gonna gently pull this off. Okay, yep, because there goes the other peg. Okay, this one was here. This one goes here. And I believe this one was a corner. Yeah. Okay, I have this set up so that's even around all the edges, so it's 5 in and 5 up on both corners here, so that it's directly in the middle of this blocking board. But yeah, so I have a blocked set here, well, not almost, this last one that we did earlier would make the set, because I usually do a set of 4 when I'm blocking coasters. So yeah, so what I'm gonna do is, just off camera, so I'm not spraying any of this with water, I'm gonna spray this, and I'm gonna show you how I put it on the blocking board. Okay, so I sprayed both sides, right, front and back. You can tell, like, my hand, you can see it on my hand, like, my hand is wet from holding this. And then I'm gonna take it, hold on, this camera situation is real, like, iffy right now. Okay, so I'm gonna take it, and, hold on, you guys see that? Okay, so I'm gonna take it, and I'm gonna put it on by the corners first. I usually like to go top down, or, like, corner to corner, just because doing this while it's flat is easier, I swear. It's just the way that I have it set up right now. So you have to be extra careful right now. But I have it set up to where each peg aligns with a hole on the perimeter, so it stretches it out and makes it hold its shape, like the shape that I want it to hold. You can also do this for circles too, if you want to block your circles. Obviously you would have to change the dimension so it wouldn't be a square, but so I'm just gently holding the pegs and pulling the yarn on top of it, making sure it's in all the proper holes. And I'm going to go ahead and do this side. Cool. Okay, so it's on there, so you can see it's being stretched out. I want to make sure all the pegs are on a hole, and then I'm just going to gently, like, push it back. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go sit this entire, like, board stand the way it is in front of a fan and let the fan hit it. But if you're, like, in a warm area, or just, like, you're not, like, really in a super rush for these to dry, you can also let them air dry on here. It'll have the same effect. But yeah, so that was my tutorial on how I do my granny square coasters. If you want to check out more information, the link to my website is down below. As of right now, my website isn't finished the way I want it to be, so it's under password. But when I launch, I will take the password off, and then you guys will be able to see more products that I have and stuff like that. So that's linked in the description, as well as, actually, I'm just going to have a Linktree linked in the description. So you'll see my Instagram, my TikTok, my Facebook. I believe I have a Discord link there too. And then obviously this is going on YouTube, so you can ignore that part of the link. But yeah, so thank you guys for watching and supporting, and I will see you guys in the next video.